Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the meeting in order. This is a regular meeting of the Higher Education Employment Advancement Committee, and I'm Representative Greg Heded, House Chair of the committee, and look forward to considering a number of new items on our agenda for the committee to consider this year, potentially, as well as some committee action, final action on several items as well. Don't know if my co-chair has any additional remarks he'd like to make, or the ranking members have any additional members. If not, then we'll move into the agenda. Concepts to raise. Item number 1 is enact establishing a nursing student loan reimbursement program. This is an item that, well, actually, Representative Rochelle, do you want to briefly explain this bill, this idea for a bill?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this actually came from some constituents from my district, somebody that teaches nursing and helps to create new nurses. And what she flagged to us and what we found is that nurses, especially right when they come out of training, tend to be the nurses who are making the least, have a good amount of debt in their hands, and also would be most likely be willing to be volunteering in the community, particularly in areas that have a high medical need. So the concept of this bill and what we're looking to do with it is to create a volunteer program where nurses can commit to provide their services and expertise to areas that have high medical need through nonprofits. And then in return, we'll meet them and assist them with their student loans so that we can advance their future, make sure they have that real important hands-on training in community healthcare.
Thank you, Representative Rochelle. Any additional questions about that concept? Do we want to build a consent calendar? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion.
Yeah, we could do just one voice vote though. Well, we do that. Okay, that's fine. I understand. Yeah, right. Any additional questions on that item? Seeing none, all those in favor of raising this concept, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstention? Oh, no abstentions. We don't allow abstentions. That motion, well, I'm not going to say that. We'll leave that open. Motion passes. Next item is enact concerning inclusive programs for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities at public institutions of higher education. Senator Slapp, do you want to explain this concept?
Yes, thank you, Representative Haddad. This is an issue that has been brought to my attention by the IDD caucus, by constituents in my district for many years. And they, parents oftentimes of children with intellectual and developmental disabilities, lament the fact that after high school, unlike in other states, there really aren't any or many college opportunities, especially residential college opportunities for folks with IDD to continue their education and also to stay in the state. So this is a concept that's been around for a while, and I know there's been some efforts both in our public institutions of higher education and some private schools to look at this. But this is meant to really kickstart that process and to tell folks and families with intellectual and developmental disabilities that we are listening and that we think that there is an opportunity for us to do better by them in the state of Connecticut when it comes to higher education. And there's some model legislation in other states that we're going to look to. And I do want to just take the moment to really applaud Representative Case's leadership on this issue and many others around the circle. It's been a good bipartisan effort, and I think that this bill will go a long way to continue that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of raising this this concept as a bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Item number 3 is an act expanding the Alliance District Educator and Counselor Loan Subsidy Program and the High Priority Occupational Loan Subsidy Program. This is a concept that comes to us from CHESLA. CHESLA operates a number of different student loan programs. This is their request for us to consider a single agency bill from them to consider some modifications of some of those student loan programs. Are there any additional questions? Representative Weir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with this program, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about this. I think it's an interesting concept. And again, the devil's always in the details, so I think I'll be in support of this today to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of raising this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is an act allowing students at campus institutions of higher education to live off campus. This is a request that comes through constituents primarily in the Middletown region to regulate the degree to which institutions can require students after their first year to live on campus as opposed to off campus. There are a number of communities where it might be less expensive and more affordable to live off campus, not take advantage of the campus meal plan, not take advantage of what can sometimes be increasingly expensive housing. And this would be an effort to sort of see if we can find the right balance between students' ability to sort of choose for themselves where they want to live as they attend universities, and the institution's desire to fill their dorms and their board plans. So are there any additional questions about that? Representative Bronco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do have some concerns. Really, the crux of this issue telling a private university what to do with how they run their operations. I know we have some. Do you have some other comments? So I'll leave it there, but I do want to ask that this vote be taken by roll.
LCO attorney has informed me, I'm somewhat embarrassed to say this, that I have failed to accept a motion for any of the items that we've worked on so far. We're working too fast. And so I'm going to suspend the normal course of things, and I'm just going to ask very quickly if I can accept a motion on the first three items, to add the first three items to a consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. So items number 1, 2, and 3 under concepts to raise. Now, item number 3 have been, the motion's been made. I'm going to ask if there's any additional discussion on those items. Seeing none. Second. Oh, yeah, Representative. Thank you. It's been made and seconded. And then we'll vote on that short consent calendar then by, if you want to raise those items, please say aye now.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that motion passes. Now back to item number 4. I'll accept a motion to raise item number 4, allowing students of institutions of higher education to live
So
on
moved.
campus. That motion's been made and seconded. Representative Bronco, you're in the middle of saying something regarding item number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have some concerns about telling a private university how to run their operations, and so I am going to ask that this vote be taken by roll.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. At this point, we are, of course, not acting to require anything of institutions. We're acting to consider a bill that might do that, but I understand the point. Is there any further questions or conversation? Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that's what I was going to ask. I didn't want to make the assumption. Do we know, in this concept being brought forward, are we considering including private institutions in this? I didn't want to assume that we are.
Yes, I think the community of interest that has brought this issue to our attention is in Middletown, where there's a prominent university named Wesleyan. I think it is a private institution and would certainly, I think, entertain making this applicable to that institution as well as others.
Thank you. And while I'm interested, many of these concepts, I'm interested in hearing more. I think the precedent, and I don't even want to say this is a precedent, but it concerns me that we come out of here and dictate to a private institution which is responsible for a budget and, that sort of thing. And I understand, they, in listening to the description, I appreciate you pointing that out. You talk about a school with they've got, obviously people that they've got a salary and payroll that they've got to account for, and buildings and maintenance and budgets and a lot of things that go into running a budget of an institution or any business, I guess. So I get concerned when we start talking about dictating. I understand from perhaps the students or from their perspective, they would like to have choices, but I think that choice maybe begins at, when you're choosing a school versus us making those decisions here. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I presume that we would like a roll call on this item, and so if there's no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Okay. This is a roll call vote to raise item number 4. Senator Slapp,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Rep. Haddad,
Representative Haddad votes yes.
Senator Martin, Representative Bronco, Senator Gadkar Wilcox,
Yes.
Representative Rochelle,
Yes.
Representative Ackert, Representative Case, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Collins Maine,
Yes.
Representative DeFranco,
Yes.
Rep. Farrar, Senator Flexer, Representative Fortier,
Yes.
Senator Maroney, Rep. Paris, Representative Sweet,
Sweet votes yes.
Representative Weir.
No.
Okay, we're going to hold votes open until probably 1:30, I would guess. I'm trying to guesstimate about an hour after the conclusion of the hearing, so that members who are busy with other committee meetings and hearings in the building will have an opportunity to vote. And so we'll hold these votes open until 1:30. Item number 5, under concepts to raise, enact expanding manufacturing workforce training opportunities for women. Senator Gadkar Wilcox, would you like to explain this concept?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Yes, so I mean, I think it's great that we're doing a lot of work in the state, improving and increasing opportunities in workforce development for everyone. And I've, would like to see increased pipeline or through line for women. These are good paying jobs, and we see women in workforce development in areas like nursing, but not as many in manufacturing. So I'd like to create, now we're kind of already looking at state programs that are available. And so starting with our Career Connect program to youth manufacturing, and then we also have a Career Accelerator program that will provide those high level skills. And particularly, I think for women, that's important to get those additional high level skills that will help them not only create that through line, but then to get into leadership positions and administrative positions that will hopefully encourage more women to be in the manufacturing field to then participate in these jobs. I know there's a lot of interest among women, and they're not we just, for a number of reasons, we don't necessarily see that proportionally the same number of women. So is there something we can do as a state to enhance that and to create this kind of through line? And so that was really the proposal, the idea behind this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions about this concept? Representative Weir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is an interesting concept. I have some, as a father of 3 daughters, I've encouraged all of them to consider, a career in the trades, whether that be, plumbing, HVAC, manufacturing. So far, 2 out of 3 have not taken me up on that offer. And I think it's, certainly not for lack of opportunity or encouragement, but lack of interest. I'm going to vote to support this today to see more language, but it does concern me that we, yeah, I want to hear more about it, but you know, from my perspective, I want to make sure we're treating, you mentioned it in your statement, my good colleague mentioned it in your statement about, you know, we want equality. And I want to make sure that that's the lens that we're looking at this through, versus trying to force something that, and I can speak from my experience, it would be forcing to, you know, push my kids further. So I'll be a yes out of here today. Looking forward to discussion on further language. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, are we going to have a roll call vote on this? We'll do a roll call vote on this item, and if, I'm sorry, my fault again. Is there a motion to, Senator Gadkar Wilcox, you want to make a motion to raise item number 5?
Yeah. Can I make a
Yes.
so moved or make the motion?
So
Can I
moved
make
is fine.
So moved, okay.
So moved is fine, and seconded by,
Second.
I can't tell who's saying that.
I'll second.
Senator Slapp. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of, I'm sorry, we're going to call a roll call vote. If the clerk can call the roll.
So this is a roll call vote to raise item number 5. Senator Slapp,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
Rep. Haddad, Senator Martin, Representative Bronco,
Yes.
Senator Gadkar Wilcox,
Yes.
Representative Rochelle,
Yes.
Representative Ackert,
Yes.
Representative Case, Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Collins Maine,
Representative Collins Maine votes yes.
Representative DeFranco,
Yes.
Representative Farrar, Senator Flexer, Representative Fortier,
Yes.
Senator Maroney, Representative Paris, Rep. Sweet,
Yes.
Representative Weir.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is under item number, section number 3, item number 6 is an act requiring an action plan for the University of Connecticut to become a member of the Association of American Universities. I'll accept a motion to raise this concept. Motion's been made by Senator Slapp, seconded by Representative DeFranco. Briefly, as an explanation, I'll say that this is a bill that's of particular interest to me. The American Association of Universities is a membership organization that is comprised of the top 70 or so top research universities around the country. You can only gain access to the association through an invitation, but I think the number of a number of recent institutions that have joined the AAU have been in UConn's sort of league, I'll put it that way. And so I think what we know about the AAU is what was founded in 1900 and is comprised of these top research universities, that the prestige and the collaboration that occurs between those institutions causes those institutions to get a disproportionately large number of research grants through both federal and private sources. And I'd like to see the university, I'd like to explore the possibility that the university will make it a priority to achieve membership in that organization. I think ultimately we may also in the process learn that there are things that we do here at the legislature that may help or hinder the university in terms of building their book of research business. We know the detrimental impact that until recently anyways, the way we handle unfunded pension liability has had on the university. We fixed that problem. There may be other issues that arise around our practices that negatively impact the university's ability to secure research grants. And so I expect that as we do a deep dive on what it would take to gain access to this organization, we will learn a lot about how different partners the university has can help them achieve this goal. Are there any questions or comments? Representative Ackert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate those comments.
Is it an action plan for the university or is it an action plan for us as a state government?
Obviously, this is a concept that we're raising. I mean, I think it's a good point. We can sort of vet that out as we go through the public hearing process. I think the university has the bulk of the responsibility to sort of make this happen and to put forward a good application, if you will, for the association. But I don't doubt that they will find challenges that they meet that have to be resolved with external partners like the General Assembly or state government, and maybe other entities as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a follow-up. I'm sure the institution is interested in being included in this, correct?
Yeah, I think the institution has already taken a look at this and has done some preliminary work on sort of what it would take to be put forth a good application. So yeah, I think that this is a goal that I'd like to see, not just barriers are removed, but also more buy-in from this legislature and our government, our executive branch, to help them achieve that goal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so in looking at this a little bit, the university can actually do this themselves, correct?
Yes, unless there are things that we do that are a hindrance to them. The aforementioned way that we were dealing with with unfunded pension liability would be one. Our state policy added about 35% to the fringe rate on research grants because we were scooping money out of those research grants to pay for unfunded pension liability. We have since resolved that issue, but there may be other issues like that that could resolve. But that action alone has sort of significantly, negatively impacted the university's ability to successfully apply for research grants. So I think there may be things that we determine that are uncovered that they need external help on.
But the university, through you, Mr. Chair, the university can join the Association of American Universities on its own without our input. Is that correct? I don't think we need to interject into the board up at UConn to tell them that we're going to require them to do an action plan when they can actually apply themselves and be accepted. Are they choosing not to?
Sure. I mean, I think that the application itself, I think, would be stronger if it had the full faith and backing of the state of Connecticut. We are their parent partner, if you will, and I think I don't doubt that we have done things in the past that have hindered their ability and subsequently hurt the metrics that are used to sort of gain access to this organization. And I have no doubt that there will be other things that we can do to help. I don't know what those things are right now. That's why I think it's important for them to do the assessment and suss out some of the things that the challenges that they meet as they put their best foot forward in an application.
Thank you. And one last comment. I think I'd like to learn more about it, but I hate bothering in going in to raise a concept, using our staff to raise a concept when the university can make this decision on their own. If we're hindering, I think we should know if we're hindering and they can't get a complete application because of us. But I do believe, from my understanding, is that the university itself can make the decision and join the Association of American Universities on its own. And that's my concern. We're drafting stuff here in Hartford for a private board that might not need to be done, but if you want to raise it and we want to hear it, I think that's what we're going to get out of the conversation. Just concerns overstepping bounds and they have a very robust board up there. And I think if they want to join, they would.
I understand your perspective. I guess I would take. I'm certainly not a private board. It's a public board. It's one that's impaneled with the advice and consent of the General Assembly and the governor. But it's certainly, I take great pride. It's actually a constitutional mandate that we ensure that our public institutions serve as excellent examples of post-secondary education across the country. And I certainly wouldn't suggest that we should shirk from our own constitutional requirement to invest and support the university.
And I agree with you, and I'll look forward to hearing it. And just for all purposes, I'm the only one in my family that didn't graduate from UConn, but everybody else did.
I'm sad for you, Representative Case.
I'm a Boston boy, Northeastern.
We can make you an honorary Husky. Is there any additional questions or comments on this item? Representative Weir.
Real briefly, thank you, Mr. Chair. When we were reviewing this earlier, I echo the concerns that my colleague brought forth, but I appreciate your explanation in terms of I was not coming at this from the angle. Certainly I don't want to interfere with the autonomy of the Board of Trustees and what they find to be priorities. But on the other hand, if there are items or an item that the legislature can do to improve that, I hear that. I did not consider that before. So, I'll vote yes today to hear more and continue this discussion. And hopefully we achieve both of those by allowing them to maintain their autonomy. And also we're cutting out any barriers to their succeeding.
Thank you very much for your comments. I see a growing consensus building. And so I'll take it. I'll take it where I can find it. Are all those in favor of raising this bill as a concept, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that vote will stay open as well until 1:30. Now we're moving on to section number 4, votes to draft. The first item is Senate Bill 977, an act protecting victims in Title IX proceedings at institutions of higher education. I'll accept a motion to draft this item. Motion has been made by Representative Rochelle and seconded by Representative Ackert. As a brief explanation, I will just offer that there was a Supreme Court decision about a year and a half ago or so that I fear will have a chilling impact on victims' willingness to come forward at colleges, victims of sexual assault, victims of personal assault, intimate partner violence, because it restricted the ability, it restricted the protections that are afforded to victims usually when they make a good faith complaint. And need some protection from a subsequent defamation lawsuit. Similarly, for institutions that are acting in good faith to adjudicate very difficult cases sometimes, but then subsequently are sued in a court of law for defamation. And so I'm not sure where this bill is going to end up. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but I think it'd be a very interesting concept for us to draft and to have a public hearing on so we can learn more about the impact that Supreme Court decision may have had on college campuses across the state. Are there any further questions or concerns about that? Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not really sure where to go with this. I reading it didn't have the background of the Supreme Court decision. Knowing that now, I wonder if legislation was already challenged, if there was a decision that came down and now from the Supreme Court and a future form of legislation here would contradict that. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not an attorney either, but I'm curious how we're going to, in this body, unless there's a workaround, perhaps, how we're going to challenge a decision that came from the Supreme Court. I'll support the idea to hear more because I really don't understand. I don't understand the subject enough, so I'd like to learn more. But I am concerned that we're going to potentially be at odds or in disagreement with a Supreme Court decision. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that what we'll be looking at is more changing the underlying underpinnings of the Supreme Court decision to sort of see if we can modify current practices to ensure that institutions meet the requirements of the Supreme Court decision, and therefore sort of ensure that complainants are afforded the protection that are generally afforded to good faith complainants. If there are any additional questions or concerns about this, we're going to do a roll call vote on this, or do you want to do a voice vote? We'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of voting to draft this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 2, proposed Senate Bill number 980, an act improving safety on the campuses of institutions of higher education. The chair will entertain a motion to draft this item. Motion's been made and seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Slapp. I'm not sure the best person has described. Oh, I see. Senator Slapp, did you want to describe? This is Senator Lesser's.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Senator Slapp can explain the.
I can try. Thank you, Representative Haddad. Yeah, we have the language in front of us for proposed bill 980, and as it states, it's requiring institutions of higher education to do a number of things, provide training for administrators and faculty about how to respond to incidents of hate, to adopt procedures for receiving and investigating such complaints, establishing a campus task force to combat hatred, harassment, bullying, and violence, create partnerships between campus, local police, state police, and report to the Joint Committee of Cognizance relating to higher education. So that would be us on manner of complaints received, investigations conducted and concluded. So some of this, I would imagine we're going to hear more should this committee vote to continue with this bill. We'll hear more about what's already being done on college campuses. And I think that's a compelling reason enough to vote to support this bill right now. We have to this point over the last few years not had that conversation in this committee about what is being done on college campuses. It's a hot topic, we know, but what is actually being done to currently to combat hatred, all types. How we define that, of course, is probably going to come up in a public hearing. What things are existing and what areas of improvements can be made. So that's what this bill gets at, and helping to provide some, I think, improved safety on our college campuses while balancing free speech. It's not an easy thing. There's been a lot of debates across society about this and in the media. To this date, again, this committee has not waded into that, and we're going to attempt to at least hear what's happening in college campuses and see if improvements can be made with this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There are questions regarding this item? Seeing none. We'll proceed to a voice vote. Unless there's an objection, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of drafting this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to proposed House Bill number 5113. The chair will entertain a motion to draft this legislation. It's an act concerning substance-free housing at public institutions of higher education. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Senator Slapp, seconded by
Second.
Representative Fortier. This is an item that this committee considered last year. Actually, a proposal by Representative Carney to ensure that substance-free housing is an option that's afforded by institutions in Connecticut. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of voting to draft, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, I'm sorry, not going to say that motion passes because we're leaving the votes open. Item number 4, proposed House Bill number 5170, an act concerning fees charged by institutions of higher education. The chair will accept a motion to draft this item. Motion's been made by Representative Farr and seconded by Representative Rochelle. This is an item that comes to us from Representative Turco. It's an effort to begin to get a handle on different kinds of fees and practices that are instituted on college campuses that might be contrary to a goal of overall affordability. Included in this may be consideration of refunds for meal plans, and limitations on the way that textbooks are marketed to students. If there are any additional questions or concerns, feel free to give me, I see Representative Case Representative Case, what is your question?
I think looking at this, one of my main concerns, and maybe we'll hear more about it, obviously, but we're going to get rid of fees. We're going to decrease the transparency because a lot of those fees are going to actually go into the tuition bill. It's kind of like the public benefits on your electric bill. We moved it so they're spelled out on your bill, so we know what that bill is paying for. We get rid of fees. What stops the university or the school from putting it into the tuition bill? So now we don't know what you're paying for when you get tuition. It's just going to decrease transparency of what you're paying for as you're paying for your college years. My belief, that's what's happening with the electric bills these days. We're looking for more transparency. And I think this is going to take away from it. Should we hear it? I guess we'll hear it, but that'll be my main concern. We're going to limit transparency of what the universities charge.
Are there any additional questions or comments? We're going to do a roll call vote on this. Question? I said,
And-
Representative Collins Maine.
I'm just curious what other examples of fees you might be thinking about. Thank you.
I gave the two that I know sort of offhand. I know that in other states, bills like this have looked at loan origination fees, transcript fees, a lot of the other kinds of sort of nickel and dime stuff that students sometimes complain about as they're moving through their college career, about costs that they hadn't anticipated paying as they were going to college, but eventually paid at some point during their four-year career. Are there any additional questions? Representative Weir.
Representative. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do understand the concerns that have been given, and I think I understand the intent of what the bill is getting to is, you go to college, you pay your tuition and everything, and on top of that, all these fees are thrown in and on top of what you think you're paying, and it can be frustrating. But to my colleague's point, these are all costs of the university. That they're going to be paid one way or another, and if we remove them from student fees, it's probably just going to the tuition again without knowing what's being paid for. So I do understand the concerns, but there are some other points in here that I think are maybe worth a discussion. So I'm going to support this to draft today and see what language we're dealing with, but there are concerns with it, and we'll see what the language is.
Senator Slapp.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Yeah, I just want to add and remind the good members here that we are voting to have a conversation or to draft, but obviously then to have a public hearing. And this part of the impetus for this bill, and I respect greatly Representative Case's concerns, and it may be that there are unintended consequences. So we'll learn more about that if that's possible. We also hear from students and from parents get frustrated at the end of the school year where they bought meal plans, and part of the meal plan is not just the meals that are being prepared, but are packaged goods, right? So I think of this as similar perhaps to when you buy a gift card, right? Remember, there used to be expirations on gift cards, or right, where the money would go away after a year or so. And so we hear from students who are told that if you don't spend all this money on your meal plan by May, whatever, right? It's grabbed, right? The school gets to keep it. And this again is not for prepared meals that would spoil, but it's for meals that you buy in the cafeteria, or like boxes of cookies or whatever. So people are frantically trying to get rid of it because they can't keep it. So I think these are, when it comes to like kind of affordability, and it comes to issues of transparency and fairness, I think a worthy conversation to have. And that's part of what this bill gets at. So I think I'm eager to hear more from the schools. Maybe it is unworkable. Maybe there are the implications that Representative Case highlighted. That may absolutely be the case, but I think worthy discussion to have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Slapp, you wouldn't happen to have a child in college, would you? Sounds like you have some experience with this.
No comment.
Okay, so the motion is to draft item number 4, House Bill number 5170 will proceed to a voice vote. All those in favor of drafting this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will be held open until 1:30. I keep remembering. Item number 5, House Bill number 6074, an act concerning student loan reimbursement program. I'll accept a motion to draft this item for consideration.
So moved.
Moved by Senator Slapp, seconded by Representative Fortier.
Second, thank you.
Thank you. This is an item that makes some technical and other modifications to the student loan reimbursement program that was established by this General Assembly and is currently administered by the Office of Higher Education. I think the general purpose would be to expand the number of folks who would qualify for this kind of the student loan reimbursement program. If there's any additional questions, I will entertain them. If not, we will vote. All those in favor of drafting this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. The next item is item number 6, proposed House Bill number 6075, an act concerning instructors for an airframe and power plant certificate program. The chair will accept a motion to draft this item for consideration.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Senator Slapp. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded by Representative Fortier. Is there, this comes, I think, from Representative Weir. Representative Weir, did you want to briefly describe what you hope to do with this?
I will do my best to be concise, Mr. Chair. So at the south end of Brainerd Airport, there exists a training school for airplane mechanics. It's called Connecticut Aerotech. And the student population, youngest is about 17, generally into their 20s, but it's generally 17 and up. And these people get out of there with a 2-year degree or a 2-year certificate, and they're getting right out and being hired by the airlines or the manufacturers locally to work on the airplane itself and the engine. But currently they're having trouble finding teachers because the requirement is somebody obviously who's proficient in teaching airframe and power plant. But the requirement also is that person has a K through 12 teaching degree. And so when I toured there a couple of years ago, spoke with the principal, and the hardest thing for them is to find instructors, which limits the number of students that they can bring through the program. And when he said that their student population is 17 and up, so I figured that if we removed the K through 12 degree requirement and put in an aptitude, somebody had to show years of proficiency as an aircraft mechanic, it'll be much easier to find teachers for this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns on this item? Representative Rochelle.
So I do have a few questions. We regulate a lot of instructor certification and training. We've run into issues with instructors for manufacturing and for nursing and other areas where we have bottlenecks. But bottlenecks alone don't typically, we don't always change the threshold. We want to make sure that the people who are doing these jobs are properly proficient and people training them are properly proficient. So what ensures, besides the fact that they've just been doing it for a while, that they, one, are effective at training others, and two, do we know, if they're training high school students, I think they have to have a degree in teaching. And so what would be the wisdom in removing that or not assigning some other type of certification in teaching?
So the answer to the
Representative Weir,
Oh,
go ahead.
thank you, excuse me. The answer to the first question, I'm not sure what the hiring practices are currently in terms of how they evaluate instructors coming in. There's a program there's a process in place to hire the instructors and determine if they're proficient in teaching. I'm not looking to have I didn't ask about that. And I'm not looking to have any input to change the process other than to remove a barrier. And regarding the K through 12, these are, to my understanding, these are not high school students who are attending this. These are people who have either left high school. This is post primary education. So this is post high school. These are not current high school students, from my understanding.
Are there additional questions? Representative Farrar.
Thank you, the chair. Hi, Representative Weir. Just one question about this. I know you mentioned this applicability to Brainerd Airport. Are there other locations in the state that also offer this certificate? Just kind of curious, given if we're going to make this change, obviously it could apply statewide, and just trying to understand how that would work. Thank you.
Weir.
Thank you for that question. I do not believe there is another location. I believe this predates my time in the legislature, but at one point this program was housed at Danielson Airport, and through some wizardry that goes on, magic that goes on in this building, there was funding provided to move it to the south end of Brainerd, more centrally located. So to my knowledge, it's the only school of its type in the state, and it would apply only to this school. But I think any questions in the public hearing, I only toured it once and it was 2 years ago, but I would encourage anybody here to make an appointment to tour as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Weir. I do look forward to hearing, again, kind of how applicable this is to other sites across the state for our consideration. So thank you. Thank you, the chair.
Thank you. Actually, I have just one question as well. Oh, actually, Representative Acker, why don't you go first?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the time. So very similar. So the air school that we're talking about is part of our CTEC system. Our CTEC system is considered a high school program. Typically, this is a post-secondary school. People like myself that have occupational licenses are allowed to teach in schools with that occupational license holder. So most of your CTEC school teachers that we have now in the state of Connecticut, most of them are trade license holders. So whether they have training in aerospace or without a degree in teaching, or they're a trade license person, is typically what that you'd like to have them have teaching skills. I appreciate that. But in most cases, when you hold a trade license, you're also a sponsor. You teach apprentices along the way. So you have somewhat of a teaching skill that you're going to also put onto that airframe student. So I stand in support of this and look forward to the dialogue that we have during the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Actually, I had one question for Representative Weir. Do you happen to know what the accrediting institution is for the school?
I do not.
And so we don't have any idea if the accreditor has any requirements for the instructors aside from state law or state policy?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer. I have to look into that. You know, again, this was through the tour, hearing the principal talk about that being the biggest bottleneck. I can get that information for sure.
Yeah, so we oftentimes hear bills that we have questions about, and that's part of healthy dialogue. And so I'll vote to draft this, but we'll see where this goes with the public hearing. And I appreciate the proponents' offer of to follow up with additional information. Is there any additional questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to have a voice vote. All those in favor, we're just a vote to draft HB 6075. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is proposed House Bill number 6078, and that concerning the availability of emergency contraception on campuses of institutions of higher education. Actually going to ask Representative Farrar if you'd like to make a couple of comments regarding this. I'm sorry, we need first to make a motion. We need a motion to draft. Oh, somebody would, made by Representative Farrar, seconded by Representative Sweet. Representative Farrar, what would you like? Would you like to add a few comments about this initiative?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks to the chair. This is a next step I would suggest to the committee. We did some great work together previously here to require our public higher ed institutions that have residential campuses to produce plans of what they are providing for comprehensive reproductive health care access for students. And we wonderfully passed that bill in a bipartisan manner here, and we subsequently received those plans from the higher education institutions. At the same time, there was a bipartisan bill that was passed in the legislature to allow higher ed institutions to, and throughout the state, to provide vending machine access to a number of products, including emergency contraception. basically between the schools producing these plans and the students' interest in expanding access to care on their campuses, there was a suggestion of a way that as a legislature we can further support the startup usage of these vending machines. And the University of Connecticut just opened their first vending machine just last week, and we know some other campuses do want to offer this access. This legislation really helps jumpstart the launch of these vending machines on other campuses in our state and is in line with the goals, I would say, of those plans and the students' efforts. So I hope that summarizes how we've gotten here and where we're at. So thank you to the chair.
Thank you, Representative Farrar. Are there questions? Comment, Representative Ackert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the opportunity again. I did some research on this, and I'm looking forward to the conversation that we'll have from the public hearing. So thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess this can go to the proponent of the bill since you gave a nice description. Is there a fiscal, I may have missed, obviously we're past the plan stage, but is there a fiscal, this is talking about funding to jumpstart these? So there is a fiscal piece to this?
Representative Farrar.
Thank you. Great question, Representative Weir. I presume we'll get that information once OFA is able to look more closely at what is proposed. But I have to tell you, after speaking with some of our campuses, they anticipate this would be a small need to jumpstart. For instance, in speaking with UConn and some of the other campuses, they're imagining that this would be in the range of, $5,000 to $7,000 per campus to jumpstart this type of effort. So pretty minimal, and we'll be looking to get more information about that, I presume, in the public hearing, and hopefully that can contribute to the fiscal note.
Thank you, Representative Weir.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that answer. I guess so I understand that that's an amount, and I guess I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'll be a yes out of here today, but I do have a concern that we, at this level, with all the budgetary constraints that we're talking about, I guess this can go into the mix for discussion. I would rather see this left at the university level to see if it fits within their budget, but I'm open to hearing about this more. So thank you for.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? We'll do a roll call vote on this item. The clerk will call the roll on a vote to draft item number 7, proposed House Bill 6078.
This is a roll call vote to draft proposed bill HB 6078. Senator Slapp?
Yeah.
Rep Haddad? Senator Martin? Representative Bronco? Senator Gadkar Wilcox? Representative Rochelle?
Yes.
Representative Ackert? Representative Case?
No.
Senator Cohen?
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Collins Maine? Representative DeFranco?
Yes.
Representative Farrar?
Yes.
Senator Flexer? Representative Fortier?
Yes.
Senator Maroney? Representative Paris? Representative Sweet?
Yes.
Representative Weir?
Yes.
Okay, that vote will be held open till 1:30. Moving on to section number 2, bills to consider for possible JF or JFS. We'll start with item number 1, Senate Bill number 1112, an act prohibiting scholarship displacement. The chair will accept a motion to JF this item. Motion's been made by Senator Slapp and seconded by Representative Rochelle. Is there any debate on this item? Seeing, sorry,
No,
Represent-
but yeah, I just want to make a comment.
Senator Slapp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, first, I want to acknowledge Senator Martin's leadership on this. So thank you for his bringing this to us in this committee over the last couple of years for scholarship displacement. I think we've heard a lot of powerful testimony. Would say that there are some concerns that we heard in the public hearing from some private schools about displacement in terms of Roberta Willis scholarship funds. And so we do want to, I want to take those into account. And I know that we've had some good discussions about addressing those in Senate Bill 5 to help with the timing of Willis to help mitigate those concerns. So just wanted to put that out there for everybody to know that we're listening.
Thank you, Senator Slapp. Any additional comment? Representative Ackert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be a yes at this time on this legislation. I do have a couple meetings lined up for constituents, individuals that want to reach out to me on this. So I do look forward to that dialogue, and would love to get with the senator on this if you get the opportunity to reach. And then we'll see how I vote on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Chief-
Any additional comments? I'll just add this as well. Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear from the public hearings that we've had in past, this past week and also in past years, that this is an incredibly frustrating practice to students and to parents. They apply for a school, they get a financial aid package, they subsequently earn an additional private scholarship, and at some institutions, I would not even say even most, but at some institutions, those private scholarships are displaced the original financial aid offer. And so a student who feels a sense of pride and who has earned a scholarship suddenly finds themselves in a sort of at a net zero gain. Additionally, I'm concerned about private philanthropy. I mean, we'd like to encourage community groups to support students in their in their neighborhoods, in their towns, and help raise money to send well-deserving students to college. And the idea that these institutions, these groups are subsequently learning that there's no advantage to the student, that some of their scholarships are displaced by or displacing otherwise available financial aid, leads them to sort of wonder what they're doing and why they're doing it. And so I think it's important for us to find the right balance here. There are legitimate concerns around the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program that I think that we can address here at the legislature by making sure that our state scholarships are awarded in a timely manner before financial aid packages are prepared by institutions. And I think that would go a long way to sort of resolving some of the concerns that are faced by private institutions around the state. So I hope that we can advance this idea, help encourage private philanthropy to support students, help ensure that students feel good about being able to bring and secure additional dollars. And I look forward to seeing this progress through the legislative process. And so if there aren't any additional comments, we'll proceed to a roll call vote on the item. This is a vote to JF Senate Bill number 1112.
This is a roll call vote to JF item number 1, Senate Bill 1112. Senator Slapp?
Yes.
Representative Haddad? Senator Martin? Representative Bronco? Senator Gadkar Wilcox? Rep. Rochelle?
Yes.
Representative Ackert? Representative Case? Senator Cohen?
Yes.
Representative Collins Maine?
Yeah.
Representative DeFranco?
Yes.
Representative Farrar?
Yes.
Senator Flexer? Representative Fortier?
Yes.
Senator Maroney? Representative Paris? Representative Sweet?
Yes.
Representative Weir?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item number 2, Senate Bill number 1113, an act concerning workforce development initiatives in the state. The chair will accept a motion to JF this item to the floor. It was moved by Senator Slapp and seconded by Representative Rochelle. This bill would require the Board of Regents to conduct a study of workforce development initiatives in the state due no later than 2026. Are there any additional comment or questions? Representative Case.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, and just looking at this 1113, there's really no language in here, so it tends to be a placeholder bill. Is that correct through you?
I think it's a very valuable study, Representative Case. I'm not sure that it's going to be a top priority of this committee to make sure this goes all the way through the initiative and may be a vehicle for a subsequent amendment if the leadership of this committee sees an urgent matter arise.
So number 2 and number 4 are placeholders. Throughout this building, I don't vote for placeholders, so I'll be a no.
Thank you, Representative Case. Are there any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll have a vote to JF item number 2, Senate Bill number 1113. The clerk can call the roll.
This is a roll call vote to JF item number 2, Senate Bill 1113. Senator Slapp? Representative Haddad? Senator Martin? Representative Bronco? Senator Gadkar Wilcox? Representative Rochelle? Representative Ackert? Representative Case? Senator Cohen?
Yes.
Rep Collins Maine?
Yes.
Representative DeFranco?
Yes.
Representative Farrar?
Yes.
Senator Flexer? Representative Fortier?
Yes.
Senator Maroney? Representative Paris? Representative Sweet?
Yes.
Rep Weir?
No.
Item number 3, Senate Bill number 1114. The chair will entertain a vote to JF this to the floor. It's an act concerning the Legislative Commissioner's recommendations for technical revisions to the higher education statute. Moved by Senator Slapp and seconded by Representative Rochelle. Technical changes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. I'm sorry, not a roll call vote. The clerk can call the roll call.
This is a roll call vote, to JF item number 3, Senate Bill 1114. Senator Slapp?
Yes.
Rep Haddad? Senator Martin? Representative Bronco? Senator Gadkar Wilcox? Representative Rochelle? Representative Ackert? Representative Case? Senator Cohen?
Yes.
Rep Collins Maine?
Yes.
Rep DeFranco?
Yes.
Rep Farrar?
Yes.
Senator Flexer? Rep Fortier?
Yes.
Senator Maroney? Rep Paris? Rep Sweet?
Yes.
Rep Weir?
Yes.
Item number 4, House Bill number 6443, an act concerning post-secondary education opportunities in the state. Chair will accept a motion to JF this item to the floor. Made by Senator Slapp, seconded by Representative Collins Maine. This is a bill that would require a study of post-secondary opportunities. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote on House Bill number 6443.
This is a roll call vote for item number 5, House Bill 644.
Sorry, we're item number 4.
I'm sorry, item
House Bill
number
number,
4.
it's okay,
Yeah.
House Bill number 6443.
Okay, this is a roll call vote for item number 4, House Bill number 6443. Senator Slapp? Rep Haddad? Senator Martin? Representative Bronco? Senator Gadkar Wilcox? Representative Rochelle? Representative Ackert? Representative Case? Senator Cohen?
Yes.
Representative Representative Collins Maine?
Yes.
Representative DeFranco?
Yes.
Representative Farrar?
Yes.
Senator Flexer? Representative Fortier?
Yes.
Senator Maroney? Representative Paris? Rep Sweet?
Yes.
Rep Weir?
No.
Item number 5, House Bill number 6444, an act allowing the constituent units of the state system of higher education to enter into energy savings performance contracts. The chair will accept a motion to JF this item to the floor.
Second.
Item's been made by Representative Ackert and seconded by Representative Fortier. There further discussion. This is an item that comes to us from the University of Connecticut. They're undergoing significant effort to reduce their energy consumption and their carbon footprint. These sorts of public-private partnerships enable them to do so with minimal capital outlay. Instead, they find a private partner that is willing to do the upfront cost, which they recoup over a number of months or years, depending on what the project is and what the savings will look like. So currently, these contracts can only be entered into through the Department of Administrative Services. The University of Connecticut and other constituent units would be enabled to enter into these contracts themselves. It also changes the maximum term from 20 to 30 years. Is there any additional comment or questions? Representative Weir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know it may be hard for some people to imagine, but I had a bunch of questions on this bill, and I would say that the university has been very forthcoming with, I think, well thought out answers to my concerns and questions. Really proactive about it. I look forward. Think there's a lot more information to come out, but I think I understand the premise. I think they've been great about explaining this. So looking forward to supporting to learn even more about this.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, item number 5, House Bill 6444. The clerk can call a roll call motion on the motion to JF.
Okay, this is a roll call vote to vote to JF. Item number 5, House Bill 6444. Senator Slapp, Rep. Haddad, Senator Martin, Rep. Bronco, Senator Gadkar Wilcox, Rep. Rochelle, Rep. Ackert, Rep. Case, Senator Cohen,
Yes.
Rep. Collins Maine,
Yes.
Rep. DeFronzo,
Yes.
Rep. Farrar,
Yes.
Senator Flexer, Rep. Fortier,
Yes.
Senator Maroney, Rep. Paris, Rep. Sweet,
Yes.
Rep. Weir.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 6, House Bill number 6446, and that concerning student athlete compensation through endorsement contracts and revenue sharing agreements. The chair will accept a motion to JFS this to the floor using LCO number 4299. Moved by Senator Slapp and seconded by Representative Bronco. The substitute language clarifies that the university will be able to enter into these contracts not just with students who are enrolled, but students who are attending or have agreed to attend the university. This gives them a greater ability to execute our recruitment efforts to make sure that students who might want to go to the university and engage in athletic activities at UConn can be encouraged to attend the university, I guess is what we'll say. Is there Representative, well, I'm going to say Representative Bronco first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Despite any feelings about money and athletics in college, that's really not up for debate anymore. So I think it's important that we are at the forefront of this. And so I think it's important that we do pass this. I think we have good language in there that allows university to do what they need to do for recruiting while also providing some accountability. So I think we found the sweet spot. So I'm hoping that happens to be true, and I look forward to getting this done. Thank you.
Representative Ackert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thank the good ranking member for his comments. Absent this legislation, name, image, likeness is still in play, right? That doesn't change that in any way, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments? Senator Slapp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oftentimes when we speak in favor of legislation, we describe what this legislation is going to do, what the landscape will be like if this is passed. And I just want to take a moment to kind of reframe it and to have folks think about what would happen if we don't pass this bill ultimately, and relatively soon. We would put certainly the University of Connecticut and the teams and the athletes that we care so much about as a state, we would put them at a severe disadvantage compared to teams and athletes all across the country. We'd also be sending a message to our student athletes that they do not deserve the same opportunities that student athletes all across the country deserve. So while this may result in a net loss of revenue for the university when it comes to their athletic department, and it seems like that's very plausible, we meaning I think the university and the state of Connecticut stand to lose far more if we don't get this bill over the goal line. So I'm eagerly going to support this here, and hopefully we can get this passed through the General Assembly in the next few weeks. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I'll just add that, you know, we can have a debate. I'm not sure it's appropriate on this bill, as Representative Branco said, about whether or not we, as a legislature, as a body, like, you know, think that paying college athletes is a good idea or not. But that decision is being made for us. And that's part of the national landscape now. I am. You know, on the flip side, I think there is, you know, great value in sort of ensuring that the students that are actually creating value, drawing eyes to televisions, and generating a revenue source for athletic leagues and athletic departments across the country, get to share in part of what their performance is creating. And so we know that there are billions of dollars in media rights are being sold to watch these games. There are millions of dollars in ticket sales, sponsorships, and other kinds of revenue that to this point, until recently with NIL, student athletes were not able to share in. So the court cases that are winding their way through the federal court system aim to sort of fix that and sort of make sure that students that are actually generating value get to share in that value. And I think that that's probably something that we can all get behind, even if we have some trepidation about the overall direction of amateur athletics in the country. There was a day not too recently when I remember watching only amateur athletes at the Olympics. Those days are long gone. It seems like that's the direction that we're headed in for college athletics too. But I guess I can take sort of some solace in knowing that some of the best athletes, the names that we all are aware of, who turn out to be terrific people. As somebody who represents Mansfield, I can tell you that when a student athlete decides to sponsor a basketball clinic, and you see students, young girls, young boys from across Eastern Connecticut and the rest of the state be able to sort of meet their heroes in many respects, it means something. And those opportunities have been encouraged by these kinds of developments. And I think it's, we forget just how special some of our student athletes are and how accessible they can be if they were just given the resources to be able to be accessible even to our kids and our students, other students. And so I encourage folks to vote for this. We'll see where this goes. I suspect that this is on a fast track, and we'll see this on the floor of the House before the end of, shortly after the end of the month. And we'll see where this goes in the long term with developments at the federal level. So thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call a roll call on JF Essing using LCO number 4299, House Bill number 6446.
This is a roll call vote to JFS to the floor. Item number 6, House Bill 6446. Senator Slapp?
Yes.
Rep Haddad? Senator Martin? Rep Bronco? Senator Gadkar Wilcox? Rep Rochelle? Rep Ackert? Rep Case? Senator Cohen?
Yes.
Rep Collins, Maine,
Yes.
Rep DeFranco.
Yes.
Rep Farrar,
Yes.
Senator Flexer, Rep Fortier,
Yes.
Senator Maroney, Rep Paris, Rep Sweet,
Yes.
Rep Weir.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That concludes our business. I've been saying that we're going to close votes at 1:30. This meeting did take a bit longer than I had originally anticipated. It's now only 7 minutes till 1. I think if it's okay with the clerk, we're going to hold votes open until 2:30 to give folks who have been otherwise busy in the building an opportunity to vote on these items. So votes will be held open until 2:30, after which point we will adjourn. Until now, we're in recess.
Minutes. No, I just know that protein bar, but I don't think I have it after the sandwich line is so long. Oh, I thought it was. 1D and 1E.